Well, thanks for having me again today. Today I want to talk about perceptions and projections. Seems to be where troubles arise. Last night I had an unusual effect. I slept under the stars last night, and in going to sleep, I thought I'm going to keep my gaze on one star. And as I looked at that one star, I could not help but feel that it was moving up. And so it always felt like my eyes were moving up, even though I knew it wasn't moving because it was in relation to another star. And yet the illusion of, and looking at it, I could feel it going up. And so it almost felt like I had to keep looking up, and yet it wasn't moving. And so even though I could tell myself that it wasn't moving, that sensory effect of it moving was there. And it dawned on me, I've encountered people, maybe some of you have too, it said, I saw a UFO. I looked up at the sky and it was moving. And this is for minute after minute after minute. I couldn't quell that, that sensation of movement. And I wondered, is that connected to some trouble, some trouble of like trying to hold on to something? Is it a sensory defect? And other times I can look at something and they don't go up and down, but this particular star was doing that. And it just made me fully experience how that perception is illusory. The star, of course, it's probably moved since the light left that star, but the sensation of it moving was something I could not quench. And yet I knew it wasn't moving. So how to approach our perceptions in a way that allows us to see things as it is, instead of, oh, it's a UFO, or it's a mirage out in a desert. There's water. I'm sure there's water out there. And so out of the Lankavatara Sutra, I want to share a little bit of the Buddhist teachings on projections. And he talks about some characteristics of word projections. There are a lot of different kinds of projections, but in this case, it's word projections. And I'll read here from section 32, where Mahamati asks the Buddha to explain the essential characteristics of word projection. And the Buddha says, there are 4 kinds of word projection: object words, dream words, words for attachment to mistaken projections, and words for projections without beginning. And object words arise from attachment to forms and characteristics and their projections. Dream words arise from recollecting previously experienced realms that are no longer existent in dreams, in past experiences. Words for attachment to mistaken projections arise from remembering previous acts of hostility. And the fourth one is projections from habit energies, the seeds of past attachments that are beginningless, projections that we have. And I want to speak to all of these, but in particular the third one. But again, the object words are words of attachment to forms and characteristics. We can feel attached to that's my child over there. And there's a whole range of attachments that can be to something you think you possess. The child might not feel so possessed, but there's these notions we have that have attachments of longing, of fears, of desire. And then dream words, which arise. And I think one example of a dream words would be a rabbit with horns. You know, you can say that and you can imagine a rabbit with horns. You'll have trouble maybe finding one. And yet it's characteristic of this kind of projection. The third one is words for attachment to mistaken projections that arise from recollecting previous acts of hostility. And I want to share what Red Pine's commentary is on this, because the other side of hostility is kindness. And so could there be word projections for hostility and kindness? And he says, some commentators on this sutra think hostility here is short for hostility and kindness. But this is not supported by any of the other texts that he used for verifying the different meanings of the sutra. And he goes on to say that the place of hostility here is clearer when it is understood as the seventh form of consciousness or ego consciousness. And wherever the ego is involved, hostility, not kindness, is the operant emotion. So perceptions of kindness might actually be thus, kindness. Hostility, though, arises from ego consciousness. And I got an example I want to share. I came into a house. I own a house. I'm a home leaver as a monk, but I'm also a home gainer due to some family circumstances. So I came into a house that came not only with walls and a roof and floors and a basement, a barn, but it has old, modest chandeliers and couches and kitchen utensils and plates and cups and wine glasses and all sorts of things that we use. And I have 4, I call them roomers, R-O-O-M-E-R-S, that live in the house. Instead of renters, I call them roomers. We're sharing the house. And it makes it a more peaceful abode for all of us, I think. Probably especially for them. but it also gives me a sense that I have roommates instead of renters, even though they contribute too. But one day I came back and I came back home after traveling, and I went to make myself some eggs and toast, and went to the kitchen drawer pull out the silverware, and all the forks but 6 were gone. You know, there were the forks from this house were old forks, except for the 6 in the drawer. They were all these chintzy, funky, you know, forks that were in the drawer. And I had a feeling like, where are my forks? I own this house. These are my forks. Where did they go? And so there's a little ego consciousness coming up, you know, of possessiveness. And I, what's fun about this, having this house, is I get to explore these different realms in this guy still that arise. If I didn't have the house, I wouldn't have this concern about the forks. They belonged to my former cousin-in-law, and you know, my job was to take care of them, and they're disappeared. And my God, what's become of them? So now the 4 roomers in the house are all under 30. One's 27, 2 of them are 24, and one's 22. So it's nice to have young people in the house, but the eldest, who's 27, likes to prepare dinner for his friends and take it to the garden next door and serve a meal. And that's what he did. And so when he came back home, he came over and I said, where are my forks? And he felt a lot of consternation because he's taken them before to go serve his friends in these gardens before. And so we sat down and talked for a while, and he said, Doug, you know, you frighten people around here. It might be helpful to have a little more nuance in your approach. And I said, yeah, thank you. That's a good suggestion. So I said, well, let me try a little nuance here. So I said, young man, you know, I appreciate that you make these wonderful meals for your friends and take good care of them and put on a good display. And thank you for leaving 6 forks. And so he said that my cousin had, his approach was always like, oh, what a wonderful job you did in cleaning the kitchen. It was a positive response. So in comparing this, where are my forks to, thank you for leaving some forks so that the rest of us in the house could have it until you're done cleaning up. Just shows how mine, you know, becomes operative a lot of times when there's a concern that hasn't been inspected enough. To maybe a more generous approach can be arrived at. So the forks didn't disappear. They're still in this universe. They're back in the drawer. And I've learned a little more nuance, which, you know, we chanted the Dharma is subtle, infinitely subtle. And so to keep finding those subtleties is really important for me. And I think it's the way it is for everybody. So the use of words is important, but they also result in possibly divergence from from the truth. And so the Buddha goes on to say that words are not ultimate truth, nor is what they express ultimate truth. How so? The ultimate truth is what Buddhas delight in. And what words lead to is ultimate truth, but words are not ultimate truth. Ultimate truth is attained by the personal realization of Buddha knowledge. So ultimate truth is attained by experience of the subtle, of the profound. It is not a realm known by means of the projection of words. Therefore, the projection of words does not express ultimate truth. So there are characteristics that we use to describe things. And then there's attachment to these characteristics that we have that we need to pay attention to. So anyway, that's where I want to stop for right now and just explore with you maybe some examples